Well, good morning and welcome to the offices of Spin Car. We're pleased you could join us here today. I'm Tim Dunn, Communications Director for the Upstate Jobs Party. UJP was formed in 2016 as an independent political party by then congressional candidate Martin Babinec. Frustrated by a broken system that's more focused on protecting incumbents than promoting democracy, Martin ran on the Upstate Jobs Party line to forward messages and support policies that will help Upstate reach its full potential. Those policies include trying to reverse the upstate out-migration of our talent, pushing back against bad economic development policies that enable crony capitalism, and undertaking holistic government reform. Last year, the UJP fully supported an independent candidate for mayor of Syracuse, catapulting Ben Walsh to victory on the UJP line as the first independent mayor in the city's history. UJP is evolving into a force in New York political circles, and faced with a government that increasingly focuses on anti-business and New York City-centric policies, we know our efforts to fix a broken system are more timely than ever. So today it's fitting that we stand here in Syracuse to support another great candidate, one who will fight for Upstate and work to ensure our future is the success we envision. Bob Antonacci has spent his lifetime in business and government, working to enact policies that allow businesses and entrepreneurs to succeed and grow. A Syracuse boy through and through, Bob has been a successful lawyer and accountant in the area, working for Ernst & Young and launching his own private law practice. His dedication to the community is truly boundless as he served as Onondaga County Comptroller for now more than a decade. From his background as an accountant in private law practice, as well as a challenging role as County Comptroller, Bob's seen firsthand how difficult New York State is for private industry to thrive. And so it came with no surprise when Martin sat down with Bob and learned how dedicated he was to reversing our upstate population loss, to getting government out of the business of business, and to holistic government reform. Just a few weeks ago, Bob and his dedicated team carried petitions to secure his place as a nominee of the Upstate Jobs Party. I know just how hard they worked to get over 3,600 signatures. Signatures from unaffiliated independent voters who sought serious change for business as usual in Albany. Despite his opponent's attempt to disenfranchise these thousands of independent voters, last week the Board of Elections certified those petitions and noted that Bob had secured the line. And so on behalf of our founder, Martin Babinec, and our chair, John Bullis, and the thousands of supporters of the Upstate Jobs Party, I'm thrilled to introduce to you the Upstate Jobs Party candidate for the 50th Senatorial District, Bob Antonacci.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you very much, and thank you, Devin, for having us at this wonderful company. And I know that Tim will be bringing you back up in a few minutes. But I want to thank Tim for the warm introduction and his steadfast support. I'd also like to thank Martin Babinec, who I've met with many times, for his passion and his vision on forming the Upstate Jobs Party. We are indeed honored to receive this endorsement and to qualify for the Upstate Jobs Party. What I think is lost on some of us, though, is the fact that my opponent has actually opposed upstate jobs. And I don't get that. What person running for state senate would oppose upstate jobs? This entire campaign is about upstate New York, the central New York, and its families, and being part of the Upstate Jobs line is very crucial to our success in winning in November. But more importantly, it's crucial to the success of our local economy. As your county comptroller, I've walked up and down this street many times, and it's so nice to see a young company flourishing right beneath our nose. And this is what the Upstate Jobs Party and its platform stands for, the new innovation economy, and it's great to see a young company succeeding in Central New York. Central New York has one of the highest concentrations of college students, but yet we continue to lose those students. You might have heard of this called the brain drain, and I believe this is what Upstate Jobs is looking to stop. We're looking to thwart that brain drain. We want these young people that we've made significant investments through our local universities, Syracuse University, and of course one of my favorites, Lemoyne College, make those repeated investments. We need to keep those people here in Central New York. The Upstate Jobs Party is a unifying force in this regard and will work on economic development efforts and resources into the innovation economy, not boondoggles that benefit massive political donors. And we all are aware of the economic failures that we've had in development programs. The innovation economy jobs provide opportunities for young and talented workers to grow, thrive, and achieve in ways we can't imagine. And if we don't support these efforts, we will never stop the outflow of our greatest resources. The UJP has been a vocal advocate for changing the way we approach economic development. We're all aware of those convictions and the problems we've had in previous economic development initiatives. You don't have to look very far to see disgusting examples of the economic development deals built more around donations going into the governor's pocket than creating jobs and supporting innovation. Instead of real programs to encourage investments in entrepreneurial ecosystems, we have an annual economic game show where the governor picks winners and losers like some sort of Hunger Games. This is not how you bring about innovation and growth. Finally, the Upstate Jobs Party, as I like to say, UJP, embraces a need for a complete and holistic reform of New York State government. Can anyone possibly disagree with this? We have a non-existent Public Ethics Commission, an Attorney General selected by New York City Assembly Democrats, and a real scenario where all New York's constitutional officers have been convicted of some form of felony in the last 10 years. And lastly, the Speaker of the Assembly and the Senate Majority Leader have been convicted of corruption, and it is my understanding that Sheldon Silver literally reported to jail today. So the Upstate Jobs Party platform is one I fully support, and I'm honored to have their support. But let me tell you how important this election will be. Just last week, in the Democratic primaries around the state, mainstream leaders who have sought bipartisan solutions were thrown to the curb by the New York City liberals. Well, I guess they now openly identify as socialist candidates. It's a scary time indeed. This new faction seeking to take over the state Senate wants to see policies like universal job guarantees, forced governmental takeover of health care, the abolition of security and law enforcement initiatives that have kept us safe from terrorists attacks, and job stifling and innovation crippling policy that will bankrupt us. Now is the time. There has never been a more important election. Upstate cannot afford to sit back and let this cabal take over our state government. Call me crazy, but I've never seen much innovation or job growth in places that embrace socialism. As an attorney, CPA, and public official, I've seen it all in business and in government, and I ask you to consider supporting me on November 6th so I can fight every day for the entrepreneurs and small businesses making our region great. Thank you again, and God bless.
Thanks very much, Bob. You have the full support of the Upstate Jobs Party because you've shown that your number one priority is the people of upstate New York. In the future, we can all build together if the government gets off on our back. It's now my pleasure to introduce our host. Devin Daly is the type of business leader and innovator that we all talk about wanting to have in our communities, and you have him here in Syracuse. Devin grew up in Syracuse, graduated from CBA, and like so many, left the region to start his career. After spending time working in finance, Devin and a friend developed a new software tool to revolutionize the automobile sales industry for the digital era. And he did something great for this region. He came back to Syracuse to launch this startup. Unlike what some may want you to believe, this decision wasn't one that's driven by massive public subsidies or large checks, both physically and fiscally, or multi-million-dollar TV campaigns. This was driven by a need to grow a business where he could find innovation in a cost-competitive setting. Devin launched his company now known as SpinCar with support from the Tech Garden, finding great talent right here in Syracuse. Today, without massive subsidies or giant checks with politicians' names on them, SpinCar has grown to more than 70 employees, and the best is yet to come. Please join me in welcoming our host and CEO and co-founder of SpinCar, Devin Daly.
Thanks for the intro, Tim. Just provide a little more context there. As Tim mentioned, co-founder, also local Syracuse guy, CBA grad, Mike Quigley and myself started the business in 2013. Initially, we were focused on providing this sort of 360 technology to traditional retailers. So we worked with companies like Louis Vuitton, Converse, Nike, Olympus cameras, but really struggled. It was a really long sales cycle. We were in New York at the time, multiple agencies involved, lots of stakeholders, and hired a gent out of automotive that had worked at an automotive ERP company essentially, and started talking with him. Do you think there's an opportunity for us to to go and sell this to dealers. We were lamenting about that long sales cycle with traditional retailers. And so he and I, in March of 2014, went out on the cold call and came back with the biggest contract in the company's history. It was a dealer group in northern New Jersey. And so straddled both industries, and in about Q4 14 decided to focus solely on auto. Like I mentioned, we were living and based in New York City at the time. Obviously, incredibly high cost of doing business, incredibly high cost of living. And we wanted to try out sort of an inside sales model. Candidly, we're a little bit reticent or a little bit doubtful, knowing that or thinking that auto dealers were more of a, look you in the eye, shake your hand, slap you on the back kind of guy. But we wanted to try an experiment, so we reached out to the tech garden, and they were incredibly accommodating, met with a warm welcome, allowed us to essentially, no strings attached, have a 90-day experiment to build out this inside sales model. Needless to say, it's been incredibly successful, and we never looked back. And here we are. It's grown to our Syracuse headquarters now with over 60 people. Then went on to join another upstate program called the Start Fast Venture Accelerator, which obviously Martin Babinak, the supporter here, the UJP is intimately involved in, which is how we met Martin. That allowed us access, so it's a traditional accelerator program, allowed us access to an incredible mentor network, and also great exposure with the investor community, which allowed us to raise the equity capital needed to scale up the business. Now our unique auto merchandising and marketing solutions in use by a couple thousand auto dealers in 14 countries, primarily here in North America, but also a lot of business in Western Europe, Australasia, South Africa, etc. And we've got 73 employees as of today, with plans to grow to 150 in the next 3 years. I've found that Syracuse and upstate New York has an incredible and unique formula. We have some of the most talented and hardworking people here, and that's really why we've succeeded. But being here hasn't only allowed us to tap into the local talent pool. We're actually really proud to have relocated several of our senior executives from other major metro markets throughout the country. So again, when our investor and longtime mentor, Martin Babinak, asked us to consider hosting this event, really just one question came to mind: is Bob Antonacci the type of leader we can count on to support innovative companies? Will he be there when our community needs a voice to stop harmful public policy that stifles innovation? And of course, we heard a resounding yes. So I'm thrilled to see that the UJP and Bob are fighting for our region and for innovative companies like ours to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin, and there really is no better example of what we can do in the innovation economy in upstate New York than when we allow innovators to innovate and get government off their backs. So with that, I want to thank our hosts and Bob for being here. If there are any questions, we're happy to take questions from the media.
With the UJP, I think every other, you have to say 3 other battle lines too. So why is it important to have this additional battle line, and what do you think the message would be to get this removed?
Yeah, it's a huge ballot line, and it's a huge initiative. Recall that we received almost 4,000 signatures, somewhere in the 3,700 to 3,800 range of signatures. Obviously, some of those people were eager to sign our petitions, and we ended up qualifying by a slim margin. But the bottom line is we had a significant amount of non-enrolled and independent voters sign on to upstate jobs. These people at the door, and I knocked on a lot of doors, were very concerned about the upstate economy. They want jobs in central New York. They want us to fight the New York City interests and downstate liberals that are just sucking this state dry. We're losing people by the boatload. We're going to lose over 1 million. We already have lost over 1 million residents, and that's going to translate into a real power loss in Washington, D.C. after the next census. So this job is a symbol of the fight that's out there and the new age economy, that we need to bring back our young people. We need to keep those that are here. We need to bring back our population. I couldn't be more proud to be on the Upstate Jobs Party line.
Bob, what does it say about the fact that you can get on this party and your opponent seems to have difficulty in getting the proper number of ballots, and when he does?
Well, yeah, I think it shows that we're winners. We know how to assemble a campaign staff. We know how to carry forward our goals. You know, as the county comptroller, you've seen our audits. You've seen how detailed they are, how thorough they are. We're very proud of the staff that we have. And ironically, I've done audits of county government of employees, and yet I received the CSEA endorsement, which I'm also very proud of, because these are the hardworking men and women that carry out essential government services, and they have the faith in my campaign to give me that endorsement. But what it says is we had some people in the race that just were novices, that didn't know how to work hard to carry out the functions they were supposed to, and there was fraud in the Mannion campaign that, that comes down to selection of the right people. I've got a great staff around me, but I also work as hard as anybody, and I will work as hard as anyone can in Albany protecting upstate New York.
Speaking of working jobs, with Senator DeFrancisco leaving, is it important to have somebody that knows business, that knows jobs, to maintain and keep jobs coming to this area?
No doubt. I hit the ground running. As a county controller for 11 years, I know how government works. I know how it doesn't work. I understand how to pick apart a government-funded program. And as I've said, and I'll say this to Democrats that are out there, no Democrat has ever come to me and said, waste my money. We argue over priorities, but once we establish those priorities, we all want our money's worth, and I'm the best guy for that job, without a doubt.
You mentioned that Commissioner Jelly upstate jobs. What specifically would we do?
Well, he challenged the ballot line. He challenged almost 4,000 people that wanted the Upstate Jobs Party line to succeed. He challenges the concept. He's got a downstate New York City interest. His agenda is based in New York City ideals, which are not our ideals. So I think his entire campaign, what he stands for, is completely opposed to upstate New York and the jobs that we so desperately need.
And the concept of creating jobs in upstate New York shouldn't be a partisan one. So it's struggling to understand why you would oppose that sort of thing. But the Upstate Jobs Party has been laser focused on supporting candidates that we believe to be independent minded and focused on the sole concept of creating and protecting upstate jobs and growing the innovation economy here in central New York. It's absolutely vital to our future success.
I just want to add one thing. It occurred to me when Devin was talking about innovation. I think we'd have a lot less corruption in government if politicians didn't have the incentive to show up to a ribbon cutting or to put their name on a check. I think we should develop an app. When you drive over an infrastructure project, the person on the phone should know which politician was responsible for that pipe being in the ground. And I think we'll build a lot more, we'll have a lot better infrastructure and a lot less corruption if we can come up with something like that. So Devin, that's my charge to you today.
2.0.
Yeah, 2.0. And then there's pictures of the pipes while they're in the ground.
Any other questions?
Thank you all.
All right, well, thank you all for being here.